Hey everybody, welcome back to Better Computer. My name is Matt, and typically in my videos, I'll go over an app and show you kind of how it works and whether you should buy it or not. But today I wanted to try something different and walk you through one of my workflows. So for those who don't know, I record a podcast every week with Christopher Lawley and Neilion called Comfort Zone. It's a very fun podcast. We just recorded an episode, and I wanted to show you the steps I take to publish that show. So everything from recording to editing to publishing, kind of all the way on the audio side. Chris handles the video portion of it, but I handle getting the audio ready to go, and I'll show you how that works. So basically, we record live. We record with Riverside. So effectively, we just sign into the same Riverside call every week. We talk for an hour, hour and a half, and then that turns into a podcast episode, right? I don't have much to say about this other than Riverside has been very, very good for us. We're very happy with using it, and we don't plan on moving anywhere anytime soon. So Riverside is really good as an option. Riverside spits out kind of an auto edit for you, so you can kind of get something automatically, but Chris likes to be more hands-on, so he will edit the video together and he'll export an audio file that is then given to me. So that's where I come in. So I just sit down and record, and then we kind of go. I will say, as we record, I am also writing the show notes. So as we talk, I'll just quick view it here. I'm writing the show notes. So I'm finding links to the things we're talking about to make sure they're all here. Follow the host is always the same, so that never changes. And this kind of just all gets added. I add a little flavor text at the top. So I'm writing the show notes as we go. I'm writing them in Markdown in Obsidian. If you were curious, doesn't really matter, but I write them in Markdown just because that's easiest for everybody. It's easy for me, so very good. What will eventually show up, if I actually switch over to episode 64, which is the current episode we're working on, this is kind of a dumping ground. We do use iCloud for sharing files back and forth. Here's a couple of video files that Chris created. Here's the full episode, which is going to be a very large file. Let's see how big this is. Not that important, but 19 gigabytes. So yeah, he exports at very high quality. But what he also gives me is this audio file. And so this audio file, first thing I need to do is bring it into Fission. So I bring it into Fission. It's complaining because I'm on Tahoe and it's not ready for Tahoe. But I use Fission for one thing and one thing only. I load up files, and then I just go ahead and hit Command E to export, and I have my saved settings here so that I can export it as exactly the file that I want. So I'll title it 064, we'll save it to the desktop and save. And so this is just transcoding, I should say, the video into exactly the MP3 format that we want. It would probably be fine to use it as is, but I like consistency. I guess if Chris is obsessive about video quality, I'm obsessive about just being consistent with how we deliver these episodes. So this will take just a couple seconds to export, and eventually we will have a new MP3 file called 064 for episode 64 coming right here on the desktop. So after that, I listened to the episode. So I just recorded it, so I'm pretty familiar with what we're going to talk about. I wrote the show notes as we went, but I want to listen to this. And so this you can do all sorts of ways. You can just open it on your Mac and listen to it there. What I like to do is actually listen to it in my podcast player, which is Catro. And so you can sideload it into Catro. Catro actually has a very nice and easy way to do this. If I go to iCloud Drive and then go to the Catro folder in iCloud Drive, there's actually a sideloads folder here, and this is where all the sideloads go. So if I go ahead here, you can see I've actually already done this. So if I drag this in, I'm going to copy it. So we'll keep both, why not? So now I've copied the second version of this in, and it's uploading to iCloud. Is it already done? Geez, that's quick. So yeah, now we have it in Catro in the sideloads folder, and when I open Catro on my iPhone, it's just going to be there. I can start listening to it as though it were any other episode. And so as I listen to it, I want to keep an eye out for chapter markers, because we are a good podcast who does chapter markers. I feel very strongly that long podcasts ought to have chapter markers. So how do I do that? Well, I tend to listen while I'm walking the dog, and as we get to changes in topics, I will create a single things task, which has all the timestamps and chapter titles that I want to use. So these are all the points in the episode that I thought were good chapter start times. I also document some chapter titles that I think would be fun based on the things that we say, the silly stuff we say. But this is ultimately what I want to have, and I kind of write these in YouTube chapter styles just because they're easy, and then I can copy and paste and send this to Chris, and when he uploads the YouTube video, he can go ahead and just paste these in, and YouTube will do chapters too. So this is really nice. So I have the chapters. I've listened to the episode. I know what we're talking about. I messaged Neiljan and Chris to see which title they want to use, and we go from there. So next thing I need to do is add these chapters actually to a project, so to the file. So right, this MP3 file has no chapters. I want to do that. So how do I do that? So if you didn't notice, I just copied all these or selected all these and copied them. We can actually close things now. And I actually don't think I have, yeah, so this is very much an in-progress app. So this one's not available yet, but it will be available hopefully shortly. I'm working on it. Let's run quick chapters on my Mac. So we're building from Xcode. Here it is. And so we're going to open the app this is inspired from. But we're going to go ahead and load this episode 64 in here. So Comfort Zone episode 64, and I'm going to do import chapters. I can paste in those YouTube style chapters and hit import. And so now I have all of these chapter markers, right, with the titles and everything. So now they are going to be, when I export, part of this file. This is something I'm actually really happy with that I was able to develop. You can also key in the timestamp, give it a title, and hit add. And then the title we're going to go for is #1 Clack Affiliate. So I'll paste that in here, capital A. Cool. And that's really it. I've got these chapters in here. I'm going to go ahead and export. And so I'm going to do 064-#1 Clack Affiliate. I don't know if I can put a hashtag in a file name. I think I can, but that might cause issues elsewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. #1 Clack Affiliate, save it to my desktop. There we go. So save it to the desktop. There it is. And so this file, I don't have a good way to show it to you here, but this file does have chapters in it. So this is the file that we want to upload. And yeah, let's go ahead and actually upload the file. So again, at this point, we've recorded, I've written the show notes, I've listened back to it, I've figured out where the chapter markers go, I figured out what I want the episode to be titled, and I've added that metadata to the file so that it loads nicely in your podcast player. The next thing I do is go ahead and I'll copy it for now, but I'm going to copy it into our iCloud drive so that Chris and Neiljan can listen to it if they want. So there we go, it's doing its thing. And now we need to go back to the browser. I actually have the pages for all these apps that I've been looking at pulled up. Forecast is the app that inspired Quick Chapters, by the way. This is made by Marco Arment. It's a very good app. It's just got a couple usability things that I wanted changed, and he's not really working on it a ton these days. Let's see, does it have the last update? Yeah, there was one update this year, one update last year, and then the last update was 2021. So yeah, hasn't changed much. That's fine. But yeah, I'm working on my own. So the next thing you need to do is go to Libsyn. We use Libsyn for our podcast hosting. It's going to be different for every kind of provider here, but this is what we use. So I'm in the in the Comfort Zone show. There's dashboard, stats, social episodes, whatever. These are just the recent episodes. I'm going to go to new episode, and then I need to drag in the file. So that's going to upload real quick. While that's going, I can paste in the episode title. I can key in the episode number, episode 64. Very good. And then the only other thing I need to include here is the description, right? So let me go back here. I kind of showed you these show notes earlier. So let me open it in VS Code. This is all Markdown formatted. And unfortunately, Libsyn does not support Markdown. You can paste in rich text, you can paste in HTML, but you can't paste in Markdown. So this is where I use another tool I created. This is from a website called QuickStuff, quickstuff.app. Really fun little website for these little tools that you can use for different stuff. And one of them is called Markdown Converter. So convert Markdown to YouTube or HTML. So let's go here, Markdown input, HTML output. or I can do YouTube output, whichever I prefer. I want HTML, so paste in the markdown. Here it is. Here's the rendered HTML. Looks good. So I'll copy that to my clipboard, go back to Libsyn, hit the HTML button, paste it in here, save it, and now these show notes look good. They look right. So very good. You can see the episode is finished uploading. The #1 Clack affiliate. Very good. It's a full episode. We don't do seasons. It's clean. Good, good, good. And then I can schedule the episode. This goes out on Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So get that in there and we can go ahead and publish it. In this case, publishing will schedule it. One other thing I actually forgot to call out is, if I hide this real quick, Quick Subtitles. Quick Subtitles is another app that I'm releasing. This one will be out earlier. This will be out ideally the day that iOS 26 and macOS 26 release. But this is a way to generate high-quality transcripts for anything. Audio files, video files, could be YouTube videos, could be podcasts, whatever. And it's going to run on iPhone, iPad, and Mac. It's quite quick on all of them, actually. So this is going to be about a minute to do this entire file. But yeah, this is going to let me get a transcript of the episode. Now, this is going to also give me the ability to complain about Libsyn, which doesn't seem to support transcripts, even though it says it does. Whether I'm using Mac Whisper or my own app, Quick Subtitles, it never seems to work. It always seems to throw an error, even though the file type is completely fine. It always complains. So kind of frustrating there, but yeah, this app lets you, again, it'll be done in a few seconds. There's a batch processing option as well if you want to do a bunch of files at once. And then there's some settings. It will be a paid app to get the full features. And then I do have an AI analysis feature we'll look at in a second, where you provide an API key from either Gemini or OpenAI. That'll let you kind of run some analysis on the podcast episode. But looks like it's almost done. It is done. And there's the transcript. Very good. So first thing I want to do is just save the subtitles file. Let's save it to the desktop in this case. So export, great. And if I quick look this, you can see here it is, high quality. It tends to get our names wrong, so I will fix that. Let me actually go ahead and open this, and we'll do Lolly, Matt Birchler. Birchler's right, good. And where's Neilion? It almost always gets Neilion wrong as well. Yeah, Neilion, that's not right. Neilion. Okay, so I just fixed it right there. The analysis feature, and I'm going pretty quick here, but want to be quick. The analysis feature is pretty cool. Basically, because I have an API key loaded up, I can analyze the podcast, and it's going to look for things that we said would be in the show notes, products we talked about, to kind of make sure that everything's in there. So lots of things here. I've actually already done this. You're going to get some false positives. I don't need to list every single thing we talked about, but yeah, here's all the stuff we talked about, which helps me just kind of sanity check, because I am writing the show notes as we record, but I'm not going to get everything or I'll forget something. And so this just makes it so it's very easy to double check myself. So I like that feature quite a bit. Alternatively, you could just like copy the whole thing as plain text and then paste it into some other LLM. Just do it that way. So whatever you want works great. But we're done here, so we'll close this. I will try to drag this into the transcript, and it says it's not the right file type. It needs to be an SRT, but it's an SRT, so I don't know. Very confusing. We will go ahead and publish this, and in a second, it should say we're all good. And at this point, I'm done, right? That's it. So scheduled, very good. It will release just on the normal day, like it should. And at this point, it's just a communication thing. I just communicate in our iMessage thread to Chris and Neilion, hey, I just uploaded the episode. It's all done. I'll paste in the chapters for Chris so he can add that to the YouTube video, and we're good to go. And then we do it again next week. So that's kind of my process. This is not the only process. This is probably not the most optimum process. There's probably other ways to do this, but this works for me and gets me kind of just consistent, good results that hopefully are reflected in the podcast itself. So I highly recommend checking out the show. It's doing quite well. We're really happy with it. We've got a nice audience there who seems to enjoy it. So that's great. And if you want to check it out, it's on YouTube and also in every podcast player imaginable. So again, it's called Comfort Zone, and hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.